Hey, come on, somebody. Big Rich here. Thanks for tuning in. Got a great day planned. Always do. Can you believe it's May? May 5th, if you're watching this on the first day. And for all you guys, couple things we're going to do today. But one, 3 years ago, today, believe it or not, I did my, let me show you. Man, I'll show you this. This was my Drybar comedy special. Look at that mug, man. Glasses have changed. I've aged a little bit because I do comedy full time, but Big Rich Brock, season 12, Drybar, 2 shows, live tapings. And if you're not familiar with Drybar, let me give you a little background on it. It's the #1 clean comedy network around. Drybar is out of Provo, Utah. They do Angel Studios, a lot of the movies, faith-based, clean movies you see. That's the same people. And Drybar, I got that spot. I'd love for you to watch it. It's on YouTube. It's on Drybar, all that stuff. The more you watch it, the closer I get to getting paid. So come on, somebody, watch that thing. If you're my age and you get up, you go pee during the night, turn it on. Let it play while you're in there. You come back, pause it, you get up again in a couple hours, play it again, man, because I got to get paid on that thing. It's an awesome place, man, getting to go do that. And what most people don't know is they only do, I think, maybe 2 seasons a year. And a season is maybe 8 weeks. And they pick 3 comics a week, a night. So you're looking at 48 to 50 comics a year is it that gets on Drybar. And they're up to season, I think maybe 20, I'm guessing, somewhere around there. But it hit me that, man, I got picked for that on season 12. And basically only 60 other folks have been through that thing or so. And it just blew me away because you've got guys like, Jeff Allen's a big hitter on Drybar. Adam Carolla is a big Drybar now. You go on there, you'll see some names you're familiar with. Then you'll get to meet people you hadn't heard before. And I've been very fortunate. I got that gig, and people ask me, how'd you get that? Well, you send them a tape. You send them a 30-minute tape. I filmed a special in Ringgold, Georgia at the depot. I took that, I sent it to Drybar, and I heard nothing. And then maybe 3 months went by, and somebody in comedy suggested me to send it again. So I sent it again. 2 weeks later, I get an email offering me a contract for season 12. I signed that contract, and lo and behold, I thought, man, I can't believe it. And I signed that and went out there in May and filmed it. And I'd been doing comedy for a whopping 9 months. They told me if they'd have known that, they'd never hired me. But I was a pastor doing TV for 28 years. So preaching in front of people, 4,000 sermons, prepared me for the job I do now in comedy. So I got to go out, filmed it, 2 other guys on the show with me. I was the old man of the group. We had a great show. Basically what you do at Drybar is you do 2 shows on your night, 2 different groups of people. First one was sold out. Second one was close. They can pull chairs in and out. It's basically what I wanted to see, what I'd love to have. It's a TV studio that they've turned into a theater. Everything is there for TV and production. And it was phenomenal. The people out there, great. The production, great. I mean, I've never been treated like that before, where everything, I'm used to having to set up, tear down, load equipment, sound checks, merch. Everything's done. All I had to do was sit back there and wait and get ready. And that's probably the only show I've ever been really nervous about. And when I get to do it again, and I believe I will, it'll be a whole different ballgame because I'd only been doing comedy less than a year. It came out on Christmas, the day after Christmas, the same year. I didn't realize, talking about Drybar now, that there's people that film those that have never been released, or it took years for them to release it. That's one of the things that's good about starting something when you're a little bit older and you're a little naive. I just expected things to happen, and I went after it. and doors started opening. So that Drybar special is 3 years ago this month, which blows me away. And I've been doing comedy 4 years this month. So catch me at a show. Go to bigrichbrock.com. You'll find me. We got great shows in May, June. I just got back from Destin, Florida. Did a show down there. Had a great time at our Harbor Walk, right there next to Margaritaville. Some of the other things down there. Doing a show open air, that's a whole different ball game, man. And I was out there doing that, and lo and behold, I got done, and somebody tagged me in a picture on Facebook, and it was somebody I knew from my hometown. They were down there on vacation, stopped, watched some of the show. They'd seen me before. One of the things about doing comedy or music or whatever you're trying to do, you got to get a fan base bigger than your mama and them, because your mama, your cousins, your brother-in-law, those people are going to come when you start, and then they're going to be tired of it and they move on. You got to find people. You got to find your crowd. You got to find your people. So it was cool. They tagged me in that picture, and I hate I didn't get to talk to them after the show, but they had already got other things going on. But it was cool. I've been able to go to 13 states in the last 12 months. And I hope to come to see you wherever you are, hopefully real soon. So, man, I started thinking about, with it being May 5th, and you've probably heard this all day yesterday, May the 4th be with you. Come on, somebody. May the 4th be with you. And I laugh because one of my favorite, I don't do it often in my shows, but I do bring it up on occasion. One of my favorite things to bring up are movies. And the number one movie in 1977, come on now, was Star Wars. Good old Star Wars. Man, look at what it's done. That thing is movie after movie. And I'll say, who all sings like Star Wars? People clap and cheer. May the 4th be with you. And then I drop the bomb. I've never seen Star Wars. And when I say that, oh my gosh, people, you'd think I said I didn't love Jesus. I mean, they get crazy when they find out I haven't watched it. I've had relatives just like, oh, we got to stop what we're doing right now, Big Rich. We are going to go rent them right now. We're going to get on Netflix. We're going to do what we got to do for you to see Star Wars. And then you got to see this one. Then you got to see this one. And I just look at them and say, no, I'm good. Everything's good. And you're like, oh, Big Rich, why don't you want to see it? Well, I'm not a huge sci-fi guy, as you can tell, or I would have seen it. But what I love is I like messing with people that love Star Wars more than I think I would like actually watching Star Wars. Because I've made it 58 years. That thing came out in 77, so do the math. I've made it that long not seeing it. I think I can make it the rest of my life. I mean, I've never seen it. Now, I know some of the characters. I know old Luke Skywalker, and I know Darth Vader. Luke, I'm not your father. I know all that stuff. But the fact I haven't seen the movie drives people nuts. And in my show, I talk about the movie I saw in 1977, the first movie my mom and dad took me to in a drive-in. Come on, somebody. Backseat of a 1977 Pontiac Grand Prix muscle car. I mean, the old drive-through where you had to take that big old metal box and hook it up on the side of your car door on the window. And my father would not put that on the window. He's afraid he's going to scratch it. He would roll down the window, and we would have to listen through the window, and you can't hear squat if you don't. It's bad enough anyway, but if you don't have that thing up close, you can't make out half the movie. But he's like, no, we're not putting that on the car. Could scratch it, mess it up. Then what we gonna do? But the first movie I ever saw came out in 1977. It was the number. I think it was number 3. Let me check. Oh, number 4. Smokey and the Bandit. Come on, somebody. Burt Reynolds, Sally Field, Jackie Gleason, Jerry Reed, a.k.a. the Snowman. Man, I love Smokey and the Bandit. Not just because it's the first movie I ever saw, but, man, that's just the South, baby. If you don't know, come on, you know Burt Reynolds, right? I don't care how old you are. You know Burt. Remember the mustache? You younger people call that a porn stash, but Bert had the original stash that everybody goes, oh man, that's a good looking mustache. Bert was the man, had that Trans Am. You had Jerry Reed and the 18 wheeler. You had Sally Field supposed to get married, and she runs off and says, I don't want to get married. Meets the man. I can't tell you the story because then you won't watch the movie. But I promise you this, it's a good one. And so much of it, I found out later in life, Jackie Gleason just kind of ad-libbed as he went along. Some of the classic lines. Love that movie. Such a good movie. And it's about them bootlegging Coors beer from across state lines. And I'm thinking, if you can't listen, that movie had everything the Brock men liked. It had hot women, fast cars, and just a little bit of illegal activity. I'm telling you, that was a great movie, Smokey and the Bandit. If you hadn't seen it, check it out. I'm sure if you get you some Coors, you younger bucks, get that Coors banquet, y'all can sit around and y'all can watch Smokey and the Bandit. Love that movie. That movie taught me something, though, that got me in trouble. Because in my house, listen, man, I grew up in a Christian home. You folks from the 1900s that grew up in Christian homes, you know, man, my mom and daddy, I never heard either one of my parents cuss my whole life. Never heard them cuss, never heard anything bad come out of their mouth. You couldn't even say shut up in our house. That wasn't allowed. You couldn't say fart. You couldn't say, I mean, you say break wind or poot or something, you know, you couldn't get vulgar like saying fart, you know. So very strict home, but very loving home. But I remember, man, there in that movie, Jackie Gleason made this word famous, sumbitch. I bet I heard him say that 100 times in that movie. I had no idea what it meant, friend. No idea. But I thought it's funny and everybody's laughing, even my mom and daddy in the car. So I thought that must be pretty good. So I'm going home and I'm saying it. I'm saying that. And I bought the soundtrack, an album through the Columbia House Record Club. Come on, somebody, of Smokey and the Bandit. Man, that had Eastbound and Down. I know you know that tune, man. That's like, Eastbound and Down is kind of like that song, you know, that you hear at frat parties or you hear out somewhere that Alabama sings. And when they start singing it, you know, people start chiming in and they get rocking and rolling. Eastbound and Down's that way for people over 50. Man, I'm going to tell you something. In Chickamauga, Georgia, where I grew up, on Friday nights, Friday Night Lights, there were 4 songs that make grown men take their hat off and put it over the heart. The national anthem, America the Beautiful, Oh Lee Greenwood, God Bless the USA, and Eastbound and Down, baby. Eastbound and Down, loaded up and trucking. We're going to do what they say can't be done. We got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound, just watch old Bandit run. My God, that's a good tune. And man, old Smokey and the Bandit, after that song, they had something on that album called CB Dialogue. And that CB Dialogue had Jackie Gleason saying that word, son bitch. And he'd say it over and over. And I'm in there in my room laughing. And my dad came in. And he said, what are you listening to? I said, Eastbound and Down. He goes, that ain't Eastbound and Down, son. We don't have that language in our homes. Don't you turn it off. Well, what'd you do, Big Rich? Let me tell you what little Richie did. He turned it down. And I turned it down low. And I'm in there listening to it. When I find you, you son bitch, I'm going to lock you up, son bitch. Throw away the keys, son bitch. And I'm in there laughing, having a time. Now, my father was a great parent, and he did something that great parents do. He gave me my liberty, but he also gave me my rules. And then he stood on the other side of my door without me knowing it to see if I obeyed, and I did. So he opened the door again, and I thought, oh, crap, here he is. He went over to my stereo system. He raised up the lid, that record spinning. He took that needle, and he scratched over that part of the record. Made me want to say son bitch, but I knew better. And man, he goes, I guess that solved the problem. I said, yes, sir. I'm a kid, man. It's 1977, 78. I've done forgot about Eastbound and Down and Some Bitch and all that. And about 2 weeks passed, and I put that album back on, wanting to listen to Jerry Reed. and I put it on and it's playing and I'm having a time. Had me one of those Mr. Microphones. Come on, somebody. If you're over 50 years old, you probably had one. It's a microphone with an antenna. You pull that antenna out, you stretch it over there to the AM FM radio, and you could sing along. The original karaoke, baby. And I'm over there eastbound and down and having a time, son, having a time. And then about that time, I forgot. And that CB dialogue came on. And it was Jackie Gleason. And before he was almost about to say it. And I tried to get to the record player to turn it down because I'm blasting it. And all you heard through my house was Bandit When I Find You, you son of a bitch, 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 bitch. I thought, my God, what are the odds? My daddy scratched it right there at the son bitch. And man, I was so thankful he was working that day because my sweet mama came in and she says, what did we tell you about listening to that? And she took that album and I never saw that album again. Lo and behold, a couple years ago, I'm doing a show. I'm telling that bit. I'm doing that whole set. And after the show, here came one of my good friends, Jason Collier. He says, I got something for you. It was the album, Smokey the Bandit. I ain't even got a record player, man, but I got the album. Great album, great movie. Great movie. See, I get talking about movies, but when you get into Smokey the Bandit, that's almost it is a cult classic. It's iconic. But the movies then, listen to some of these movies that came out, man, in 77. You had Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Steven Spielberg. You had Saturday Night Fever. Man, Columbia House Record Club made it off Saturday Night Fever, man. That motion picture soundtrack, that and Frampton Comes Alive, both of them had 2 records in it. Those would cost you 2 albums when you got you 12 for a penny. But man, everybody had those. Everybody had Saturday Night Fever, or they had Frampton Comes Alive, and then you had Smokey and the Bandit. Man, those movies, Smokey and the Bandit just connected the South to the theater, man. It gave us something. We're like, hey, man, we're going. Because we didn't go to the movies when I was a kid. Man, my daddy was like, man, we ain't spending money on that. We'll wait till it comes out on TV 5 years later. That's when we see it. So I knew that was something big. I remember some of the other movies when I was a kid. We went and saw Brian's Song, the story of Brian Piccolo. I don't know if you're familiar. Great movie about the friendship that turned into a brotherhood of 2 competitors, Gale Sayers and Brian Piccolo. They remade it, I think, in the 2000s with a couple young guys, and it was good too. But the original, I don't know about you guys in my age bracket, it's hard for me to watch some movies because they're so dated by technology. But if you grasp it and wrap your mind around it, watching Brian's Song in the original, man, that is a serious movie. Another movie that I loved growing up and thought, man, that's a good flick. And I can quote this thing like scripture. And I remember going to see it in Panama City, Florida, on family vacation. I was 13 years old and it rained. That's what you did when it rained. You went to the movie theater or you went bowling. When you get 1 week out of the year, take your family on a vacation when you have a job like my parents had. And they planned it, and then by God, it rained. So we went to the movies. Rocky 3, baby. Introducing Mr. T, Clubber Lang. And me and my best friend at the time, Terry Royal. I was an only child, so I got to take somebody on vacation with me that was parent approved. And there wasn't many that my parents approved, but they let me take Terry Royal. So me and Terry are sitting in the theater watching Rocky 3. My mom and dad were in the theater next door watching who knows what. But man, that movie, I thought, man, it had Hulk Hogan in it. It's Thunder Lips. Come on, somebody. Stallone. Rocky 3, if you're not familiar with all the Rockies, man, then you're like me to the Star Wars people. I think it's insane if you hadn't seen the Rocky movies. But Rocky 3 is my favorite just because of all the one-liners and stuff in it, like, and if you've seen it, you'll know. Mr. T, Clubber Lang, he's like, I pity the fool. See, he said that, made a living off of it, trademark it. And then he had one where they asked him his prediction for the fight, and he looked in the camera, and all he said was pain. And I'm like, oh my God, that's classic right there. Me and Terry Royal walked the beaches of Panama City looking at each other going, pain, because we thought that was so funny. It's such a good movie. So again, but then when you start looking at movies and you get going and you start thinking about different stuff, I want you to grab this. And if you're, this concept is crazy to me to think about, that I bought a VCR. A VCR. You might have to Google it if you're young, under 25, to know what one is, or go to Goodwill. They'll have them stacked up over in the corner, probably propped up furniture. I mean, you know, I bought a VCR when they came out. VCRs, and I had to write a note down about it because I wasn't sure. VCRs got real popular, came out in the late 70s through the 80s, early 80s. I bought mine. I still remember it. I got it right here in my head, 1984. So that made me, I was 15 and I'd had a summer job and I saved my money and I went to the VCR store. Come on, somebody. Wasn't Circuit City. Wasn't Best Buy. Where were those? No, this was a TV and VCR store on Highway 2 in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. And man, I walked in there, took my parents with me because I couldn't drive, had my learner's permit, and I'd already looked before and I was sizing them up, and I bought my VCR. And it was it was a good one. That thing retail $599.99. Come on, somebody. And that dude said, I'll give you 10% off because you're paying for this with your own money you've been working for. So for $549, baby, I bought me a VCR and I walked out there the proud owner of my own movie theater, set up in my room. Here's the problem. Blockbuster wasn't invented yet. You could hardly find video stores around Chickamauga, Georgia. I bought a movie. You could rent movies for $2. To buy one was $80. The day I bought my VCR, I could buy one movie. That's all the money I had left. That movie cost me, he gave me a little break on it. It was $75 plus tax. Big Rich, what'd you pick? He had about 30 to pick from. I studied them. I studied those movies more than I studied for the SATs a year later. I'm just telling you. And I picked one. Eddie and the Cruisers. I thought, man, that's got it all. It's got romance. It's got rock and roll. It's got friendship. It's got tragedy. It's got redemption. I love Eddie and the Cruisers. Eddie and the Cruisers bombed at the theater. But when VCRs came around and Blockbuster came around, and cable TV, Eddie and the Cruisers became a cult classic, man. It became iconic. On the Dark Side, you remember that song? Did you know John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, they did all the music for Eddie and the Cruisers, but John Cafferty didn't look like Eddie from Eddie and the Cruisers. So he just was the voice and everybody else, lip sync. The original Milli Vanilli was Eddie and the Cruisers. But man, that's a good movie. I recommend it. If you hadn't seen it, check it out. It's a good one. But that's the only movie I had. I watched that thing over and over and over. And thank God, man, a video store opened in Chickamauga, Pro Video. They had one right there in town. I spent so much money in there, they hired me, man. My second job I ever had was working at Pro Video. But here's the deal. They had two. They had one in Chickamauga, a little nice small town at the one red light. They had another one in St. Elmo, Tennessee, 15 minutes away, right outside of Chattanooga. I mean, you could throw a rock to the Chattanooga city limits. In the big city, as we called it, little rougher neighborhood. And they sent me up there. I had to work up there because I was a man. I was 18 at the time or so. And they sent me up there. But I got all the movies I wanted for free. So I watched everything. If it came out in the 80s, late 80s, mid 80s, I've seen it probably 10 times. But what's funny, and I'll give you a list of some that came out and my favorites. In 84, the number one box office movie, Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie Murphy. By far, one of my favorite movies. Great soundtrack, great movie. And then the number two one, and don't get mad at me, I'm not a huge fan of it. And the song comes on the radio, and I immediately, as soon as it starts, I know it and I switch it. Ghostbusters. I'm like, hey, come on, somebody, you enjoy it. And it's weird how these top movies rank because I like every other one. So that means half of America's like me and the other half's not, because number one's Beverly Hills Cop in 84. Then it's Ghostbusters. Then one I loved, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Good old Harrison Ford, baby. See, I know a little bit about Star Wars. He was in it, right? I like Harrison Ford. I just didn't like all that sci-fi stuff. So there's a classic. Then number 4, never seen this one either. Gremlins. I thought it was about sorry cars. I didn't know what it was about. Never seen it before. Number 5, of course I seen it. It was the ultimate date movie in 1984 to take your date to. The Karate Kid. Good old Ralph Macchio. It's great that came back, 40 years later. And now there's people's grandkids know who all these people are. I think that's pretty cool. But it wasn't a big fan of, I wasn't like, I went to it. I paid for it because it was a good date movie. But number 6, big fan of Police Academy. The Uno, Police Academy 1. Great movie. Michael Winslow doing all that crazy sound effects. A lot of fun. Number 7, Footloose. Let me tell you something. What kind of town is it where the preacher won't let you dance? Come on, somebody. I said, I think everybody ought to be dancing a little bit, at least slow dancing. But he's like, no, we ain't having no dancing in this town. And everybody bought into it. That's what I didn't understand. I'm like, that just didn't make sense to me. And then here's another one. I saw it, but I don't remember it much. Romancing the Stone was number 8. Then number 9, don't get mad, friends, hadn't seen it. Star Trek 3. Star Trek 3, not on my radar. Number 10, I seen it. I was hoping for nudity, but I don't remember none. Splash. Remember Splash, Daryl Hannah? Come on, somebody. That's a good movie right there. So 1984, here I am. I'm in 10th grade. Those are the top movies at that time, and that's what I'm dealing with, and I'm waiting for those to come out on VHS so that I can make them a part of my arsenal. So, we've talked about crazy stuff today. We've talked about movies. We've talked about when VCRs came on the scene. It boggles my mind that I paid $600 for a VCR, and today you can buy one for probably $10 at Walmart if you can find it. But one of the things to think about, no matter what's going on today, it's going to become obsolete. And something better is going to come along when it comes to technology. The things I don't know how to do now, in another 3 years, it'll be obsolete. So I'll just wait and learn the new stuff. I mean, it's crazy. So many of these things that I lived around, you can't find. Man, think about this real quick. Blockbuster was founded in 1985, went nationwide by 1990, bankrupt 20 years later. Blockbuster was it, man. Blockbuster, how many of you my age bracket, or a little bit younger even, when you had a date, your first stop was Blockbuster to look around with your date, trying to see what movie to get. And they had like 20 of good movies. You could pick, 20 of the same movie. Where I worked, Pro Video, we had one. You better get there early, because it was gone. And then if you kept it, hey, I think the statute of limitations is over on this, so I'll share it with you. When I worked up there, I made $3.35 an hour, minimum wage. I got to raise up to $3.50 because minimum wage went up to $3.50. Come on, somebody. But we had this policy. They were $2 a rental. If you kept it late, you got charged $2 every day. And there'd be people, and I mean, we'd prosecute, we find you. And we found people that would show up and bring a tape in, and it was like 3 months overdue. 90 days. And I would look at them as a 19-year-old and say, I hate to do this to you, but legally I'm required to charge you $2 a day. That's $180. And this is back in the 1900s. I said, I'll tell you what, you're a good customer. I'm in a good mood. I'm going to cut that in half. $90. And they thought I was doing them a favor. And then I'd have an extra $90 on me because I'm like, nobody knows. They were just glad to get the tape back, you know? So my hourly income went up every once in a while. But people, another thing that cracks me up too was, and we were laughing about this at lunch the other day, was the rewind fees. Remember when you rented a tape and if you didn't rewind it, they charged you 50 cents to rewind. And they would put on there, be kind and rewind. And you're thinking, oh my God, I forgot to rewind it. And you're thinking it's only 50 cents. The rental was $2. A fourth of what you just spent, you're spending again because you didn't rewind the thing. I'm like, my God. And I saw people, I'm taking it back home. I'm going to watch it again. And then I'll rewind it, bring it back. They were adamant about not paying 50 cents. So all that stuff cracks me up. And then lo and behold, Redbox comes along. Redbox is what I spent a lot of money on with my oldest son and my middle son. And then my youngest hit when the streaming era began, and we're living in now. So I've watched it go from pre-Blockbuster to what we have today, and it's crazy. And I'm sure you have too, especially if you're in my age bracket or my wheelhouse and you understand all that. So, you know, a couple thoughts from you. What was the first movie you remember going to see? And then what was the first movie you went out on a date and saw? I remember the first one I went and saw, the first date I ever had. I was like, went and saw Sudden Impact. And man, there was a sex scene in that thing right out of the gates. And I thought, oh my Lord. I said, this is my first date. And they're showing a sex scene right here. I was like, I picked a good one. So that was the first one I saw on a date. And then the first movie that I ever bought was Eddie and the Cruisers. My kids, tons of movies. My all-time, and I'll ask you this, and you can hit me up in the comments. My all-time favorite movie, man, I don't have just one. But if I had to pick one movie that I really, truly loved, and I could only pick one, Remember the Titans. Denzel Washington, Remember the Titans. I've seen that movie 100 times, and I'll tear up every time, man. It gets me. It gets me seeing anything based on a true story, I'm hooked. It gets my attention. And then there's redemption. There's seeing how we grew as a nation. You're seeing how these boys came together as a team, and they won the state championship. The two coaches become friends. They become brothers. All that gets to me. So my favorite all-time movie, Remember the Titans. What's yours? Man, I'm Big Rich. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in today. Follow me at BigRichBrock.com and get all the comedy shows coming up. Check out my Drybar special that we mentioned earlier. I hope you have a great week. God bless, and we'll see you soon.